All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what this truce, of course, means, we're being joined by retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. He is a military strategist. He's also the host of the Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. He's joining us live on this broadcast. Now, sir, let me in fact start off by asking you this. The war has gone on for well over 6 weeks now, and there is a breakthrough that has now been achieved. It is a humanitarian pause, that's what it appears to be, for a period of 4 days in exchange for certain hostages who would be released. It is said that anywhere from 40 to 50 hostages are expected to be released by Hamas. What do you read into this humanitarian truce that has been agreed upon by the State of Israel and Hamas?
Yeah, it took quite a bit of wrangling, even within the war cabinet itself, because there's still quite a few people, as you alluded to, who are against this, and they're coming out saying, "Oh, this is a bad thing because it will allow Hamas to strengthen its position. It'll make our job harder. We need to keep the pressure on so that they'll release all the hostages." But look, I'm with Netanyahu on this one. I think he's absolutely right. They need to prioritize getting all those hostages back, and almost no matter what it takes, because I can just tell you from a military perspective, there's no question that Hamas will take advantage of the opportunity and they will reinforce some of their positions, but it'll be minor. It's going to be inconsequential to how this war goes. It's not going to change the outcome. It might delay it a little bit, but if delaying that means that you get hostages back, that's a great deal, because I assure you, every family member of every single one of those hostages is extremely anguished over what's been going on, will be so happy if they get back. And if they took the advice of these other folks and continued fighting and they ended up getting hostages killed, then they would be a lot angrier at the Israeli government.
That's absolutely true, because the families of the hostages had been demanding that the Netanyahu government should strike a deal as soon as they can. Now, in the past, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had said that he did not want to strike a deal because that would break the momentum of the war. So, as a military strategist, how do you see this humanitarian pause? Because this is clearly not a ceasefire. A ceasefire would mean something a bit more permanent. What has been agreed upon is a pause for a period of 4 days that can be extended if Hamas continues to release more of the hostages. But what do you think this actually does to the war?
Yeah, and look, it's definitely the right thing. I mean, because the whole war is being fought to protect your people. And so since some of them are hostages, you have to take whatever action is necessary to get your hostages back. On the tactical front, though, look, this could also be a benefit to Israel, because you can have a pause in your own fighting. You can get yourself together. You can, catch your breath a little bit of your troops, and then you can say, all right, now the next phase, let's get this plan really good. Let's get it resourced, and then let's get going better. So, I mean, I've been in some of these situations in combat myself in the Middle East, and these pauses, sometimes even in a fast-paced offensive operation, can be very useful.
Right, now, speaking purely in terms of military terms, Israel has carried on with its campaign for well over 6 weeks. This is the 7th week of Israeli campaign of relentless bombardment on the Gaza Strip, which has sparked off a humanitarian disaster there. But militarily speaking, Israel's objective is the destruction of Hamas. How far do you think Israel has succeeded in limiting Hamas's capabilities?
I'll tell you, this is where I do part ways with some of the statements coming out of Tel Aviv, is that they believe that they can attain peace for their people by militarily destroying Hamas. And I don't see any prospect of that. They can come and literally gut the city of Gaza. They can go down to Khan Yunis and they can, do more. They can kill lots of people, but they are not going to bring peace, because by destroying the infrastructure, killing so many thousands of innocent Palestinian people, all they're going to do is build up more anger for themselves and potentially more enemies. So I think Israel's going to have to look really hard at what it's doing. If the objective is to bring peace, they're going to have to do something different, because just bombs and airplanes is not going to do it.
Absolutely. And over the course of the last fortnight, we've been witnessing what was happening at the Al-Shifa hospital, the biggest medical facility in the northern part of Gaza. Israel had originally claimed that there was a Hamas command center. The Americans had described it slightly differently. They said it was some kind of a Hamas command node, which Hamas had inside the Al-Shifa hospital premises. But now it appears that Israelis are indicating that Hamas's command centers and their leadership is actually in the southern city of Khan Yunis. Khan Yunis should have been a safe zone, because this is where Israel had asked all the Palestinians in Gaza to evacuate to. Do you think the Americans would be willing to back an Israeli offensive into the southern part of Gaza?
Well, I'm afraid we're probably going to find out, because I think the plan has been all along is to first seal off the northern part of Gaza, especially Gaza City, try and do whatever they want to clear this. And then I think the plan has always been to then turn south. It wouldn't make any sense to do otherwise. So they're definitely, the IDF is definitely planning on going south, and they've been setting the stage for that already with the increase in a number of airstrikes. They've been telling some of the people in the southern part to move out of those areas and to move to other areas that are further outside. So they're definitely planning on going on there. Now, whether the United States backs that or not, I think remains to be seen. I don't think it's an automatic yes based on how many civilians have been getting killed.
Right.
And that area is so much more dense. I don't know what's going to happen there, but it's
But the world's attention at this moment is also on the number of civilians, innocent civilians and children who are getting killed. The death toll in the Palestinian territory of Gaza Strip is now said to be over 13,500. 40% of all those who've been killed, that is more than 5,000 of those who've been killed, are said to be children. So clearly there is an increasing voice that's now demanding that this war needs to stop. But militarily speaking, Lieutenant, how much longer do you think Israel has to carry on with its campaign?
Well, I mean, I think that militarily speaking, if you're just looking at the tactics, I mean, Israel has the capacity to completely take the entire Gaza Strip, all of it. They won't have any problem with capacity. But war is all about the political angle and the will of the people to fight and the will of the other side. And in this case, it's the will of the international community, because Israel needs the Western support every bit as much as they need the military capacity on the ground. Because if they lose that, then everything's going to change. And as you point out, those numbers are already really high, and so many of them are children. A lot of them are infants that had to be moved out because, the hospitals had ceased to function, and that tears at the heartstrings of a lot of people. And I think the patience is running out on that. And if you start moving in south into the Khan Yunis area, then those casualties are going to probably spike even higher, and that's where you're going to have some real problems maintaining support.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Colonel Daniel Davis, for joining us and getting us those details there.
Always my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.